But hey, David, good to see you. David's coming along to our event. Chris is there. That worked. I wasn't panicking about that at all, mate. Not even one little bit. Was it obvious?
I was really struggling to like figure out how to use the technology. It kept on asking me to rotate my phone, but it was already rotated, so I don't know what the problem was.
But we're here. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, I'm going to start. We've got 7 people watching, and after that little panic at the beginning, Chris, have you ever done one of these split screen Facebook Lives before? No, neither have I before tonight.
First time.
Professionals would have rehearsed and that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah. Hey man, this is every video is a rehearsal, so it's all good.
It is good fun. So those of you who don't know, Chris is the founder of the Content Marketing Academy. I haul myself up to Edinburgh every year to go to the Content Marketing Academy, and I'm coming back this year again and looking forward to it. And Chris and I are hosting a joint event on the 2nd of February in just less than a month's time. Hey Tosh, good to see you, and good to see everyone else who's joining. And I thought I'd spend some time with Chris this evening, probably only 20 minutes or half an hour, talking about networking and content marketing and how we join it up, because and I think this is really important to everyone watching, there's no doubt that Chris and I, hey Cara, that Chris and I have successfully joined up networking, social media and content ourselves in our own ways, very much in our own ways because we do it slightly differently. But most importantly, both of us have successfully taught other people to do it as well. And that's I think really important, that we haven't just worked out how to do it ourselves, we've worked out how to teach other people. Chris, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to talk whilst I actually share this all over the place, this this event. That's all right.
Yeah, just chuck me right into the deep end. That's fine, no problem. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks very much, Steph, for bringing us on live today. It's good to kind of like do a little 20-minute, 30-minute catch up with you anyway, and have a chat about all these 3. You know what? There's like 3 or 4 things that I feel that have grown my business and brand over the last 4 or 5 years that have been in business, and those 3 or 4 things are network growth, content marketing, social media, and email marketing are like the 4 main things. Like if you manage to join those things together and get them all working with each other, it's amazing what can happen, and they get like a compound effect across all of those platforms. And it really, really works amazing. So, and you know, to sort of manage expectations, if you're kind of like just at the very start of this journey, then you're probably not going to be able to jump in and do all of it at once. So it's kind of key to kind of think about how you approach this and what you're going to do first and second and third and fourth. In fact, well, we've got 17 people live just now. Jump into the comments section just to give Stefan and I a little bit of a feel. What would you say going forward, start 2018, perfect time to ask this question is, what is your single biggest challenge with growing your business over the next 6 months? What's going to be your single biggest challenge with growing your business over the next 6 months? Jump into the chat section. Let us know what's on your mind. You could do more than one if you want, but it'd be good to hear what your challenges are, and that might help us shape our conversation as well tonight.
That would be awesome. We've got 20 people online. I've shared this a couple of times. Hey Janie, hey Sheena, hey Jill, hey Geraint, hey Ruth. This is, so Sheena's biggest challenge is getting more coaching clients. I reckon that getting more clients is going to be, David Emsley, I really like David's comment, and David's coming to our event on the 2nd of Feb, Chris. David's
awesome.
All the way down from the frozen wastes of the north. Getting people to move from very interested to actually buying, that's one that comes up a lot as well. All of these people who you meet at networking events who say that they're interested in what you do, how do you move the conversation on then to getting them to actually buy things? Sarah Provorou says managing time. And I know that you can sink an awful lot of time into social media without getting any real return on it if you do it wrong as such.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, those are, like you said, getting clients is probably like everybody on this call wants to get more customers, right? So Like that's it's a common challenge. So what I would challenge Sheena is to get a little bit more specific on the challenge, right? So if it's not, so everybody wants to get more customers. So what's the challenge though? What's really kind of like the barrier between where you are now and where you want to get to? And if that, I can't remember who said it, but like if you're wanting to really take someone from like an interesting conversation through to getting them to buy something from you, then there's loads of ways to approach that as well. I mean, we're talking about really joining that whole thing up, the networking, the network growth, the conversations you're having, through to how social media and content marketing can really drive customers into your business. And it works. It's an amazing thing. It works brilliantly if you do it well, if you do it right, if you do all the things right. But what I would say is just to kind of manage expectations. It's not like flicking a light switch on, right? It's not like you go from this sort of stagnant feeling of like wading through treacle and then you switch a light on and everything seems to be fine. You know, it doesn't work like that. There is a series of, I would say there's a time scale that needs to be, you need to have an expectation around time scale and your approach and what to expect, you know, within the first 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, that sort of thing, when you get into really going forward with your content marketing.
I'm going to mention two things. First one is, if you're watching this anywhere else apart from my Facebook page, I can't immediately see your comments. So if you want us to answer your questions, can you head over to the original feed on my Facebook page, stephanthomas.biz, and then if you put comments down there, I'll be able to answer them. If you're commenting in one of the groups, I can't see it straight away. The second thing is, okay, talking about networking, social media and content marketing, Chris, you've talked about timescales. One of the things that I've always been really clear about and would love your opinion on, I talk about immersion being the key rather than timescale, that actually the more effort you put in, the more effort you put into building these relationships, developing your content in the right way, that can speed up the timescales. That can make a difference to how quickly this stuff works for you. Do you and I often have different opinion on things, which is what I like. Dave Emsley needs to talk to bigger businesses. I'm going to come to all of these, David. Through applying this stuff, I'm working with Lloyds Bank and Breverton Solicitors and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants and all sorts of others through doing this stuff, so you can get to bigger businesses. Mm-hmm. Going back to what I was just saying, Chris, this stuff about time, yep. Is there necessarily a 6 months or 12 months, or do you think you can speed that up if you put more effort into it, frankly?
Right, there's quite a number of answers to this question, I think. First of all, it depends where you are, right? So say, for example, you're going to a lot of networking and you're really the only part of your business that's working is you, right? You're the only awareness, you're the only conversations you're having, content, right? So all of a sudden you've got you plus your social media plus your really putting you out there and creating a lot of awareness around you. So basically you're able to have conversations with people outside of the room all of a sudden, right? So you don't have to be in every room. So and then you kind of come back to a point where you say, do you want to go to all the networking events that you possibly can go to in order to grow your business? It's not very scalable and it's a lot of hard work, right? And I think a lot of us probably want to make sure we're putting our effort in the right places as well. So it really depends where you are on that journey. So say, for example, you're further down that journey, you know exactly what networking events you're going to and you know why you're going to them. You've made your choices. I think from there, it's really about creating content and meeting the right people, like being really selective. I think, so one way to have more time is to do less and just do less. And when you're doing less, you're doing more of the right stuff. So meeting only people that could potentially be customers and people that could do business with the ideal customers. So a lot of that comes down to actually. So I don't, like, this is a good point in the you talk about this. I don't want it any harder than I already have in the last 5 years. I don't want to do any more harder work, right? So what's the other thing I can really leverage in that is being more effective. So that's about doing less, but doing more of the right things that are going to grow my business. So it's actually saying no to a lot of things and saying yes to the things that really matter that are going to get the business. So effort does get results, but being smart about where you place that effort gets you better results.
one of the things that I talk about a lot, and this surprises people a great deal, is that most people who come to the networking retreat and most people who I work with one-to-one actually end up going to less, or fewer rather, networking events than they used to go to, because for me, it's about what you do in between the events. It's about what you do to maximize the return on the effort that you're putting in to go to networking events. I go to far fewer networking events now than I did in the first 2 or 3 years of my journey. And in the first 2 or 3 years of my journey, I was making a shed load of mistakes. What I'm going to do really quickly, with the most awesome technology involved, if you guys haven't spotted it already, Chris and I are running a joint event. What do you think of the laser display board, Chris? That's good. Chris and I are running a joint event in February to teach you all of this stuff. You're screen grabbing that for the lols. We're running a joint event on the 2nd of February. This is the commercial break. That's the website you need to go to. If you book tonight, you get £50 off the price by entering that code. But you need to book tonight. That code's available till midnight. There it is again. There's the website address. I know that a load of you already booked on the early booking offer between Christmas and New Year. I decided to run slightly different. It's backwards.
There's no way, I can't see on split screen to flip your camera, so it's the other way around. I can't see that on the split screen. There's no option.
How to do that either. Oh, that's the best thing ever. Okay, so it's thenetworkingretreat.co.uk/more sales. That's easy enough to remember. And the code is live. If it doesn't work, screen grab that and put it in front of the mirror. So what would we... Thank you, Jill. We're running this event. Just part of the proof that what Chris and I does works is that we had this stupid idea on about the 20th of December. We launched this event from a standing start, and between Christmas and the New Year, we had 10 people already book onto it. Because through going to networking events, through getting our social media right, through getting our content right, we've made this work, and we've built up a crowd of people who trust us enough to book onto this event because they know that we'll get value. So on here, Sarah Provero's booked, and Sheena's booked, and Julie Scott's booked, and Renee Power's booked, and Craig Petty is booked, and David Emsley are booked, and I can't remember the others.
Awesome.
But yes, there are a lot. Oh, and Rachel Chiverton's coming along, and so on and so forth. What is it? In your words, Chris, I go to a lot of networking events. I do less than I used to, but I put out these days a lot of content, much more than most people, but some of it I get right, some of it I get wrong. What do you think it is about putting out content that makes the difference? And going on from that, what is content? Because I wonder if everyone completely gets what we mean by content marketing. Talk about it.
So probably best just to start with that question, and then we can lead into how it kind of helps with the networking side of things as well, like what the benefits really of it. But like the way that when we say content marketing, I think there's three, there'll be 2 or 3 people, different types of people that will hear that and think 2 or 3 different things, right? Which is, oh, I know what content marketing is, I'm doing it. Or they'll completely misunderstand what it means, and they'll have a different definition than I do, which is fine. Or they'll just be like, oh, this is some sort of new marketing fad thing. I keep hearing about it, but it's like, it's just nonsense. It's just marketers talking about this new thing. Or they just don't have any clue what it's all about. So like we've got this sort of definition or education sort of issue that we need to deal with, or a challenge that we need to deal with. So the first thing I would say is that when I say content marketing, what I'm saying is this is how you grow a business today. That's it. This is what marketing is in 2018 and going forward, is what we refer to as content marketing, but it's really just marketing. It's really just how you do marketing today. And when you define marketing, when you think about, well, what is marketing? Marketing is doing something that allows people to find you when they've never heard of you before, right? That's all it is. So you create something. Content has been around for a long, long time. Sometimes it's called advertising. Sometimes it's called a blog. sometimes it's got video, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. We've done it for a long, long time to allow people to find us and allow us to remind people that we exist in the world, that we have some value to offer the world. And that's all that marketing is. It's just that in 2018, it's really built and sort of like baked into what we call content. So when you split the two words up, you've got content, blogs, videos, podcasts, Facebook Live, social media, whatever, and then you've got the marketing side of that equation as well. So content and marketing. How do you use content to help people find you when they've never heard of you before? That's it. That's all it is. It's really simple stuff. It's just, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a marketer, what we have to appreciate is that marketing is the fastest changing landscape in business today. And therefore, I'm a marketing person. Stefan is a marketing person. You are a marketing person. You're also a salesperson, right? So what we've got to figure out in our heads is that, or what we need to be able to do is create content that doesn't just allow people to find us, but allows people to buy from us as well. So marketing is sales. Content marketing is about sales. It's about business growth. It's not about just creating content to create just noise or awareness of us. It's really to attract people that would want to buy from us at some point down the road. And that, to me, that's really what's at the heart, at the core of content marketing, is just understanding that when someone says content marketing to you, all they're saying is creating something that allows someone to find you and they've never heard of you before, and making it really easy for someone to buy from you. That's it. That's all it is. It's the way it's always been. Find customers, get new customers, get customers to stay with you, get them to spend more money with you. That's it.
This is a really common thread, because from the private conversations I have with people and from some of the questions that we've already had down there, a load of people go to networking events and make a load of friends, and it doesn't turn into sales. And everyone knows these days that they need to be doing blogs and videos, and yet most people are going to networking events and never turning that into sales, and are putting blogs and videos out there with no real purpose. And I was for ages, putting stuff out there which is actually very often really well written, and they've gone to a real load of trouble to put their videos together, but there's actually no real point to it. They haven't done that final 4 or 5% to actually make it into something which not only gets people reading it, but also encourages people to buy from them, or, to use your words, makes it easy for them to buy from them. Adam has learnt his way around content. Adam has just joined us, and he's learnt his way around social media and content. And I really wish Adam could get the day off and join us on February the 2nd, because he's built Whitney's most busy, thriving hairdressers in about 6 months.
That's awesome.
Through getting his stuff right. And I like Adam a lot. Adam is Adam only joins my videos so he can check how my hair's getting on and whether I need to see him again. But Adam, yeah, don't take your hat off, Chris. But getting back to my point, it's that last little bit that people don't get right. They go to networking events but don't turn it into sales.
Yeah.
Content out there, but don't think about the point of their content, which is ultimately to help people buy from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the key. I mean, a lot of people say, like, content marketing, you build trust with people, right? So that's like underpinning this whole thing is trust, awareness, turning up consistently and frequently over a long period of time, blah, blah, blah. That's all in there. But the one thing that people really get wrong, Steph, it's not even just the call to action or anything like that. They're creating content for their contemporaries, for their peers. They're not creating content for their customers. This is a really major, major problem. When people are writing blog articles and doing videos, they're creating the content for their peers. So they're like, I don't know, if you're like a proof editor, you're writing content about proof editing, when actually you should be writing content about the journey that someone takes to actually buy from and get proof editing services from you. It's not about being famous in your industry. It's about getting customers and having a business that you can be proud of. That's the key. And this is obviously clearly something I'm passionate about and rant about a lot, but I feel like this is a major thing. It's something we're going to be covering hopefully on the 2nd as well, is that it's not about creating content for your peers. It's not about being famous in your circles. It's about creating content that helps your customers to trust you and want to buy from you.
What's interesting to me, and in the whatever it is, 5 or 6 years that I've known you, Chris, is that the parallels with networking and content marketing and social media are so obvious to me these days. One of the biggest questions that people ask me is that they go to networking events and they end up making a load of friends, but they don't turn that into sales. They go to networking events and it's lovely to be nice to people. It's lovely to get to know people, but they're almost scared to take responsibility for those conversations and turn those conversations into meaningful conversations. And what's happened with us, what's happened with the relationship between you and I, is that we've become friends along the way, and also we've had several meaningful conversations about how we can do business with each other in both directions. And what's really interesting to me about that is that that's not meant that we fell out. We're actually stronger friends than we were a few years ago, and yet we've both bought from each other. And yet, through their content, through their social, through their real life networking, a load of people seem a little bit scared to make that jump to actually turn this into sales. And I think it is that they're a little bit frightened, plus they don't understand that final 4 or 5%, what they say at networking events, what they do on social, how they write their content to actually turn it into sales. And it usually is only really tiny tweaks.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what you say, how you say it, when you say it, all of those things are really, really important. It's the same with content, what you write, where you write it, where you publish it. You know, it's the same. These are the kind of things that matter the most. And having like a purpose, having an objective to what to do. And I think a lot of people, and it comes back to, I think Sheena maybe mentioned it, and I think she's off now, but she said something like, from memory in the comments section, something like, I want people to know what I do as opposed to what they think I do. Something like that. And I think the idea here is that content should help people to understand what she does. But really, when we're talking about networking and social media and content, it's actually getting people to understand what problem you solve for them, right? So it's not about what, like, your job title or like whatever, even your brand. It's not about that. It's like, can Chris help me get a result? Can he help me solve this challenge that I'm having? And as soon as you start to take really embed it into everything that you do, is to listen to what your potential customers are really saying. And they'll say things like, and if you're at a networking event, for example, you can say this. And I asked everybody on the call today, what is your single biggest challenge going to be with growing your business over the next 6 months? And then you suddenly tell me what your biggest challenges are. And I say, and then I come back to you and say, well, we can help you solve that problem. If you've got a problem with getting clients, tell me a little bit more about it. How's this come, and suddenly we're talking about your problem, not what I do. Right? And then all of a sudden you can bring that into the frame and you say, well, actually, I know exactly how to solve this problem. This is what we're going to do. And all of a sudden you're not selling them anything anymore. You're just talking about how you can solve their problem. And that's what content marketing is all about. And that's why there's parallels, Steph, right? Because what I believe about marketing and sales is exactly what you believe about marketing and sales. We might do it in different ways, but we still believe at the core how to go about it. Like the how and the why is the same. What we do is, the way that we do it is maybe slightly different, but the core is the same. That's why we get on.
It is. One of the things, I'm going to pick up on a couple of the points here, and I'm going to come back to David Emsley's point because it's relevant right now, is that when I work with people on thinking about their 40 or 60 second formal introduction for networking events, one of the things that I often find with people is that they need to dumb it down. And there's at least a couple of people on this call tonight who I've had that conversation with, that they talk in terms that they understand but mean very little to their audience. They don't address the fundamental problem that their audience, the people listening to their 40 or 60 seconds, actually wants to solve. And it's the parallel with your point about people write content for their peers. People often do their 40 or 60 seconds in a way that sounds really clever, that means something to them, that almost panders to their ego, if I'm honest, but doesn't dumb it down enough so people can actually solve it. The other thing with this, and I promised to join it up with David Emsley's point, is that David, I hope you're still watching. What I've found is that getting my content right in places like LinkedIn, particularly, has helped big businesses to find me. I think, David, you said you needed to find big businesses. One of the things that I've done really successfully and have helped a couple of other people to do is help big businesses to find them. And one of the businesses that booked me, I know what I do, David, is different to you, and I speak in front of audiences, but one of the businesses that booked me said that they felt that they knew me because of the volume and quality of my content. They trusted me. They felt that they already knew me. And no matter what we're selling to big businesses, that trust, that feel like they know you, so they know you're not the smarmy salesperson. I read your blog today or yesterday, whenever it was. That feeling that people know you, trust you enough to just let you over the threshold into their business, that's really important as well. I think some of the things that we're going to be focusing on the second is how to get your message right at networking events, how to then join that up with social media, and how to get your content right. And you are still here, David, that just flitted fast. How to get your content right and put your content in the right places for you and your business, so that the right people find you. This has been an absolute revelation to me, that I'm in the lucky position now that people are finding me. Jason Kelwick, it's lovely to see you, by the way, mate. If you're not great on LinkedIn, that is something that Chris and I can really help you with, and we'll be talking about at the event. I spoke to someone, a social media guru, in my opinion, just before Christmas. And she said to me that she actually thinks that 2018 will be the year of LinkedIn, the year that, or one of the years that LinkedIn really comes into its own, and particularly for content. And I'm watching the way that articles and video work on LinkedIn and think it's going to be enormous.
Yeah. If you're in B2B right now, you need to be on LinkedIn, and you need to be figuring out how to find your ideal customers there. It's a no-brainer. It's like a gold mine right now.
And doing marginally different things. This is another mistake I think people make, that they don't respect the platform when they go to networking events. They use the same approach at every networking event, even though each networking event has a different flavor and a different ethos. And they don't respect the platform when they're on social media platforms either. So, for example, doing exactly the same on LinkedIn as you do on Facebook, doing exactly the same on Instagram as you do on Twitter, these things simply aren't going to work. Or it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's false economy. It's false economy of effort. You'll get far less results than actually respecting the platform, doing it right.
Yeah, exactly. You do need to there's things you can cross-purpose, and you can do similar things on each of the platforms, but they ultimately have different nuances and different purpose, really. And I think just on LinkedIn is something that everybody should be looking at, I think, especially if you're in B2B. It's like we've been using some search tactics, connection tactics, to build local peer-to-peer networks. There's so much you can do on LinkedIn in a super targeted way as well. And it's not expensive. You can do a lot of it for free. There's loads of tools out there. I think you're right about the year of LinkedIn for sure. It's kind of wide open just now. I think they'll lock a lot of the stuff down that they're doing just now, but it's like there's a lot of free range going up. You've really got a lot of movement in there just now while they're trying to figure out the platform. But there's been a lot of changes in the last 12 months. It's been great. And that is coming from someone that hates LinkedIn and thinks that LinkedIn is the place where your sense of humor goes to die. So, it's a big deal for me.
I think, one of my jobs here tonight, right, is to sell people on the idea of coming to the event on February the 2nd. That's obviously one of the reasons that Chris Marr and I have got together tonight. And it's a really big but, I go up to Edinburgh once a year to the Content Marketing Academy, the CMA Live event, which Chris holds at the Hub in Edinburgh once a year. Chris comes down to the networking retreat, and Chris will be at the full networking retreat later on this year as well. It's really, really unusual to get the two of us together in a room. It happens at best once or twice a year, actually helping you with this stuff. And on February the 2nd, screen grab it and put it in a mirror, because I've got my camera around. On February the 2nd at our event, the networkingretreat.co.uk/more sales, we will be teaching all of you this stuff, and the event costs a couple of £100. I know, I promise you will win far more business than that, and you'll save money by the networking events that you go to, because even if you go to the same number of networking events, you'll be getting far more results from them. If you put the same effort, the same amount of hours per week into your content, you'll be getting far better results from it. And put that in a mirror as well. It says live. If you use the coupon code live tonight, you'll get 50 quid off, but it's only there until midnight. There's already a load of people booked in. If you're not booked in already, you'll actually get Chris and I working with you for about 6 hours on the day. And if you choose to come to the VIP dinner, Sheena's there, Sarah Provero's there.
Cool.
Can't remember who else is booked in. You'll actually get to sit down and ask us questions one-to-one. I'm really looking forward to all of that.
Awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, I really want to come down and just put as much into it as possible and really help people to, like, the big thing for me is not coming into that room and just sort of like doing a standard presentation or whatever. I really want you to have a plan of action when you leave that room. What you're going to do in the next 24 hours to help you put all of this stuff into practice. And I'm hoping to get the chance to talk to you about content marketing. That's the big thing. I really want to share with you some of my own network growth strategies as well, if there's time for it. And I really just want, like you said, it happens once a year. You and I get into a room together and actually go through all this stuff. I mean, I only do 4 workshops of my own a year. You know, so like if you wanted to work with me in public, then there's only really 4 other opportunities for that. So this is, I think, very special. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And it's the first time we've actually done a joint event together. We did a short 2-hour workshop during last year before the networking retreat. These days I only run the networking retreat 4 times a year. This event is actually something really new for me. And when Chris and I first talked about it, it was talking about our respective skills, how I talk about what to do at networking events, and then I talk about what you should do after networking events, and then how you, Chris, take what you should do after networking events into a science in a way that I just can't, because your skills are different to mine. And the way that you take that, what you do with that pile of business cards, what you do with those contacts after networking events, and turn that into a science, that has always really impressed me. And I think another one of the reasons why the two of us get on as well.
Yeah, I'd love to. If there's, I'd love to show people what I do and just show them the tactics I've got in the back end and all the things I do to kind of grow. It's like when you meet someone for the first time, like we talked about this already. How do you turn that into a sale? And there's other ways to add value to that relationship that I do that doesn't always. And actually, 9 times out of 10, it's not about them spending money with me. It's about how can I get someone to spend money with them. And I would love to talk about that. That's like a subject I love so much, like network growth, content marketing, social media, top 3 topics, top 3 subjects. Love talking about it, love helping people with it. And I just can't wait to meet everybody. It's going to be amazing.
We've been going for about 35 minutes now, and we said about half an hour. So I'm going to cut us off in a minute. Otherwise, the two of us will talk all night. I've not eaten yet. You've got things to sort. You've got your kickoff event the day after tomorrow, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, exactly. So we're looking forward to that. So that's all kind of ready to go. Just need to sort of turn up now and make it happen. So we're dead excited about that. Kickoff event, January, perfect time to do it. I think we've got 45 or 46 people coming along to that, which is pretty cool. So we're excited. So
people are just getting back into their networking after the Christmas and New Year Hogmanay break. People are just getting back into it. If we could leave people, I'll ask you first, Chris, because I'll put you on the spot, and then I'll come back to me. If people could do one thing differently in 2018 with their networking, their social, or their content, what would you suggest that be?
Just like, yeah, so I think the one thing is don't try and do, this is a tough one, depending on where you are, but I would say don't try and do anything new. Like, try and do what you're doing already, but do it better. Like, try and get really good at that thing. So one of my big themes, sharing this at CMA Kickoff this year as well, I'm doing a talk on this, is really just being the best in your industry at that thing, whatever that is, right? So if it's networking or if it's blogs or if it's videos or whatever, just be the best at it. Don't that's it. That's the message really, is just do what you're doing, but do better. Like, get really, really good at it.
And I think my tip to people is to actually get good at taking responsibility for that conversation and taking it forward. So many people, when they leave a networking event, even if people are interested in buying from them, they leave the responsibility of taking the relationship forward to the other guy. And there's a load of people here on this call tonight and who are coming along where I've taken responsibility for the call and I've taken it forward and they've bought from me. And guess what? We've not fallen out. We're probably even closer friends because I genuinely believe in the value of my stuff and the value of the events that I hold. Take responsibility for those conversations. Don't leave the responsibility in the hands of the other guy, particularly if you're in business for yourself. It is your job to remind people that you exist. It's not their job to remember you. Chris, Sarah Provorou, I'll finish on this. 95% of the people that Sarah connects with don't follow up. And I reckon that figure is conservative, Sarah. Never assume the other person will follow up with you. Chris, thank you ever so much for joining us. All of the people who've been watching on a cold Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday? Completely lost track of what day it is since Christmas. Guys, thank you all very much for joining us. And for a load of you, I really, really look forward to seeing you on the 2nd. Cheers, Chris.